Welcome back, Addicts. I'm Michael.
And I'm Josh.
And today we're doing another review of an anime.
Yes.
This is DevilMan Crybaby. It's a kind of an adaptation of a source material that's been out for maybe 30, 40 years, like the 70s. Some of the original artwork is pretty great.
It was pretty funny. We were looking it up before we made this video. There's one in particular we'll probably make the thumbnail.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We might have to do that. But yeah, we're here to talk about that, just the show in general, and Josh will take us up with characters and kind of a plot summary. So.
Okay. Now, if I remember right, this anime came out last year.
End of last year, beginning of...
So it's not too old, but it is on Netflix. It is a Netflix original. I'll kind of go in between. I might do a short summary before I do characters, but to give you kind of the gist, there is the main guy, Akiri Fudo, who becomes Devilman. His friend, basically, I'm not going to say a whole lot about him, but it's basically a childhood friend that he's known for years. He left for probably a span of like 10 years, went and worked around the world and in America, and then finally came back out of nowhere and met back up with him and was like, hey, I need your help with something. Can you come to this club with me? And so he drags him to this club where we basically see it turn into like a portal for like demons. And everybody starts, you see like some people that have already been possessed, they start killing people. We see a portal come out and it actually grabs a hold of Akiri, and that's how he gets possessed by the demon Amon, which gives him the power of becoming Devilman. And it basically starts off showing how much he's changed in terms of his character. His personality is a little bit different, but he still has retained his humanity because he... As his friend describes it in narrative, he's like the perfect like innocence of like he's like the embodiment of innocence basically, and that's how he's able to retain his humanity, but also be have access to these devil powers. And so it basically goes through, and you see him I don't know, kind of like hunting demons, I guess. He sees like what they're doing, and he's taking over people, and he tries to stop them, and then later on we see that he gets a little bit more understanding that there's people like him, and so you kind of see his perspectives change a little bit. But along with the other characters, we see his friend, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned his name, but his name is Ryo Asuka, and then we also have Mikiko? I don't know.
Mikiko? I don't know.
Mikiko? Okay, thank you, Michael. Michael's my linguistics expert. And she is another, like, he's on a track team, and she's another friend that's on the track team that he interacts with and later comes to be a part of the story. We also have his... it doesn't really specify, I mean, it's kind of like his stepsister, but not really. It's just a family that took him in, and this is the girl of the family that he's staying with, and he is kind of friends with her, and he's really the only one that she's the only one that he really cares about, and her name is Mickey. So, but yeah, getting kind of into, I think we're just gonna jump right into our highlights. Michael, I'll let you kind of start with some of your things that you really like.
I don't know if you could tell by what Josh was talking about, but this anime is kind of a mixed bag for both of us. I think there's some really good moments. There's some really okay moments. Yeah. And I think the ending is probably what we have the most problem with. Not specifically plot-wise, but just how it ended. Mm-hmm. But I think the areas where the show really excels is in the demon battles. You have probably 2 or 3 of them in the beginning where he's basically a vigilante. That are really interesting. You have a couple scenes where it's demons coming after him, and he has to deal with that I really enjoyed. I liked some of the dialogue. I also really liked, some of the dialogue was great. Oh, also the raps. The raps were probably my favorite part, actually.
That was one of the highlights I wrote down, was the raps. They would do it at the beginning of each episode, is that right? Or was it spread out?
It was spread out, because there were like 4 of them, I think. Yeah. And over 13 or however many episodes.
All of them were pretty fire, though. I want the mixtape of that.
Yeah, I watch those raps to this day every once in a while to get hyped.
Very good.
But yeah, those are probably my highlights.
Yeah, I will say one of the things that's really great about this anime, and it's kind of like the core essence of it, it is super dark. I mean, as you could probably tell from having a name like DevilMan, like, it's pretty brutal in both the concepts that they tackle, but also, like, the sheer brutality that you see on screen. And it's not even so much the fights, it's just act themselves that you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a highlight for me, seeing stuff like that. I can't say I enjoy seeing things that make me squirm, and like, not like in terms of like actual gore. It's just like in sheer acts of like hatred and stuff. But it was a cool thing, and I thought it was really great adding that task because a real, I guess, baseline, topic in this anime is human nature and how corrupt it can be. But some of the like things that I did, like the club scene towards the beginning of the anime, that is still probably one of the creepiest and best scenes of this anime. And I thought that was like, it started off really strong, and it gave you a really good idea of what the tone was going to be for the show. And then also I gotta put it in here because I still like going back and watching it, and it is the run in there. I best part out of the whole show for me. It's just so freaking hilarious. If you get to, I think it's like the second episode you'll first see it.
After his transformation.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, I never would have expected that.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
It's pretty great. But yeah, those are just a few things for me. I don't want to go into spoiler territory in case you want to watch it, but might touch it a little bit more when we go into recommendations. Which, speaking of which, Michael, do you want to start us off?
Yeah. So this, if you're a regular viewer of the channel, you kind of know that we cover different things in regards to audience. One of the recent videos we did, we have shows like Don Machi, which is kind of a wider audience. Then we have Kill or Be Killed, which we said, adult audience. This is definitely an adult show. It's really dark. Yeah. It's really gory. The themes that it covers are pretty dark in this as well.
Extremely.
Yeah. So it's not a show for everyone, and I think it's also not a show. It's not the first anime you show people either. I think you really have to be an adult and into anime, and then if you like dark shows, then you'll really like this one. I was looking when it first came out. Many people were saying, "Oh, this is one of the anime of the year," and I think the reason why is because if you like this genre, it's really good for the genre, and it's on Netflix.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Were you going to talk?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna follow up by saying my rating for the show. I'd probably give it like I was 6.5, which it's above average. It's a good show. Not really my favorite genre, and the ending kind of. I think without the ending, I understand that that's where they were gonna go with the ending, and the story makes sense. I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense, but I think without the ending that I didn't really like, it'd probably be like a 7 or 7.5. But I think 6.5 is pretty fair rating for me.
Yeah. Getting into kind of my recommendation, I agree with Michael. If this is a type of genre, if you like the really dark, gritty, action-based animes or shows, you definitely will probably like it. If you're a fan of horror, I would say it's got those elements in there. It's not straight-up horror because there is a lot of action in it, but that's something that you would definitely like in this show. Yeah, I don't, like Michael said, it's not for everyone. So I think you can tell, though, from the first episode. If you watch the first episode, if you're not on board by then, like, I wouldn't watch any more of it because it only escalates from there. In terms of my rating, I would agree with Michael. I would give it about a 6.5. There was, and for me, it was not, I do agree with Michael's stance on the ending because I feel the same way. But for me, it was a show that I enjoyed watching, but I don't know if it was a week-to-week show, if it would have been enough to keep me interested. Like, I think it's just, for me, it was just a show that it was great to binge watch, but if it was coming out week to week, I probably would have been like, this is cool, but I'm going to wait till it's fully out, So it wasn't like it had me fully invested, gripping like on the edge of my seat all the time. But that's mainly just because, like, I think it didn't connect with me too much. But in that being said, they have some great things, action, some elements like I mentioned. The ending is if the ending was a little bit different, I think I agree with Michael. I probably would have given it a higher rating. But I totally get and respect like the whole arc of the story, and for what they were aiming for, I think they did a good job. But I would still stick with my my previous rating of it.
Well, I mean, that pretty much concludes our review and discussion of DevilMan Crybaby. Keep in contact with all the stuff we're doing.
Yes,
we have our weekly podcast. We have more content on YouTube, more anime reviews. If you go through our playlist section, we have different views, pretty much.
Yep.
Movies and everything.
Yeah. I just thought of something. This is a great video to plug this in. Currently, we have our other member, Graham. He's going through a decade's finest of horror movies, starting from the 70s, I believe, working all the way up to the 2010s. So if you are curious and seeing what he ranked stuff, you can go check out on our main website at wordpress.com. The whole thing is addictinformative.wordpress.com. But
and it'll be a link in the description.
Yeah, we'll put it in there. So anyway, guys, that's all that we got today, and we'll see you next time. Later, Addicts.
Later.